Hello, everyone. Today we're going to talk about the parts of an essay. So you may be a little worried about how to begin writing an essay. What do I do? How do I go about this process? So what I want to show you today is just all the basics. How do we go about writing an essay? Where do we start? And what are the steps that we go through? So step one, obviously, is to pick a strategy. Sorry, you guys are going to realize I'm a lousy typist. Pick a strategy and a topic. I don't know why that's caps. Pick a strategy and a topic. So we know that we have 4 strategies for the first essay. They are process, compare and contrast, classification, and division, and cause and effect. So those are your strategies, and you'll need to pick a strategy. A lot of people pick process and do a family recipe. Some people do a compare and contrast of their favorite animals or something basic for essay 1. In our case, I think we're going to pick process strategy. So we'll go ahead and highlight that one, just for the sake of practice. All right. So then the topic, what would a topic be? Well, a process topic has to be anything that you can recreate sequentially. So a recipe, an instruction of how to install software, an instruction of how to set up your favorite video game console, anything that is a process can be picked as a topic. When you pick a topic, you really want to make sure that your topic relates to the strategy at hand. And of course, we're going to be talking about these strategies more in depth in future videos, so you don't have to decide right away. But for the purpose of today, we're going to pick for a topic Mom's Lasagna. All right. So we picked our strategy and we picked our topic. I'll go ahead and highlight the topic here. Once we've done that, what do we do next? Well, the most important thing, without question, is generate a thesis statement. So what is a thesis statement? A lot of people are confused. I don't understand exactly how to create a single statement that's going to take care of everything that this is supposed to take care of. So really what a thesis statement is it generates a main idea for the essay. It is 1 to 2 sentences, but I'm going to put 2 sentences in italics because I want you to be aware that 2 sentences is not ideal. 1 is best. So 1 to 2 sentences generates a main idea for the essay. It goes at the end of the intro paragraph and often has subpoints which can be used in the creation of topic sentences, which are to follow. Now, when I say subpoints, you do not have to have subpoints. You can simply have, for example, a thesis statement about making the best lasagna that will wow your friends. But if you include subpoints, then you get to use those subpoints to extrapolate the topic sentences, and it really helps with the structure of the essay. So I'll give you an example. We're going to generate our thesis statement, okay? All right, so we're doing process on Mom's Lasagna. So here's an example of a thesis statement with subpoints. To create the best homemade lasagna, you must first prepare and assemble the ingredients. Next, you must bake the lasagna. And finally, you must plate and serve this wonderful dish. All right, now that is a thesis statement. It's not the greatest. It's a little bit wordy. We could always trim stuff up and fix it and make it better. But it accomplishes the goal of the thesis statement, which is to generate the main idea. All right, the main idea is we're going to make lasagna today. It embodies the strategy in the topic. We know it's a process because it's telling you we're going to make lasagna. We know that the topic fits with process because it's making lasagna. So that's good. And it also has subpoints, which can be used in the creation of topic sentences. So the subpoints are, you must first prepare and assemble the ingredients. Next, you must bake the lasagna. Well, let's turn that one green. Okay. And then the final subpoint is right here. Finally, you must plate and serve this wonderful dish. Okay, so we have our thesis statement. That wasn't too hard. So finally, next, I'm sorry, not finally, next, we are going to generate topic sentences. So that's number 3. All right, so what are topic sentences? Well, topic sentences act as micro thesis statements. Okay, they generally go at the start of the body paragraph, and they lay out the main idea and structure of said paragraph. Okay, so basically what we do is we take the thesis statement and we use the subpoints that we had to generate topic sentences. So our first subpoint is you must prepare and assemble the ingredients. So now we're going to make a sentence about preparing and assembling the ingredients. Okay. To prepare and assemble lasagna, first you must boil the noodles. Next, you must assemble the layers. And finally, you must add the cheese to the top. Okay. So that's going to give us, now you may notice that I haven't made a whole lot of lasagna. I do like to cook, but lasagna is not a dish that I have made. So if that's not the best sentence, then whatever. But okay, it tells us what we're going to do, right? And so that's a topic sentence. The topic sentence is going to go at the start of the first body paragraph. Generally, in a 5-paragraph essay, you have 1 intro, 3 body paragraphs, and 1 conclusion. So you notice that from our thesis statement, we have the 3 subpoints, which are going to give us the topic sentences for our 3 body paragraphs. Isn't that great? Okay, let's do a second topic sentence. Now we know that our second subpoint is baking the lasagna. Okay, so to perfectly bake the lasagna, first heat the oven to, I don't know, what is it, 450? Is that too high? Is it too high? We're going to say 450. To 450 degrees. Okay. Then place the lasagna carefully on the oven rack. And finally, close the door and turn on the light so that the dish can be monitored. All right, so that is another topic sentence. We will move on to the next one. The final topic sentence would be, and finally you must plate and serve this wonderful dish. Okay, so plate and serve the lasagna. Use a spatula to slice the dish into eatable squares. Gently lift the square from the dish to avoid breakage. And finally, place it neatly on the plate to be served for guests. Okay. Let's see. We'll say on the dish. Or on the, dish. Squares from the meal. What we're doing here is word variants. We are changing the words in the sentence so that we don't repeat the same word too many times. Okay, so those are 3 topic sentences. Good. Moving right along. This is how we write the essay. Okay, so now that we have the 3 topic sentences, what comes next? Well, now we gotta take a step back. We gotta go to our intro paragraph. Okay? So intro is gonna be formula. I'm gonna give you a formula. This formula will help you make the perfect intro every time. Okay? So that is hook, line, and sinker. A little bit of a fishing analogy for you. So how does hook, line, and sinker go? Well, to make an intro paragraph, you have to have the hook, the line, and the sinker. So it's a matter of understanding what those things are. The first thing is the hook. What is the hook? The hook is the attention getter. That is the means by which you will get your reader invested in your essay. Formal writing and essays are kind of boring sometimes, so the more invested you can get your reader, the better. A good hook, a strong attention getter, at the very start of the essay, the very start of the intro paragraph, is a great way to do that. So what are some of the things that we can use as a hook? You can use a vivid description. In this case, a vivid description of the lasagna. What are the smells of lasagna? What are the tastes? Can you recreate for your reader the deliciousness of biting into a lovely, freshly cooked lasagna? That would be a great way to do it. Another way is you can ask provocative questions. All right, provocative questions. What sort of provocative questions can you ask? Well, you could ask, let's say, it's 5 o'clock on a Friday. Your family is going to be home any minute. You have no idea what to cook. What do? That's a provocative question. Maybe you want to lead in with that. Okay, another one is quotes or striking statistics. Did you know that the American household eats lasagna on an average of once every 2 weeks? I don't know if that's correct or not, but it's the kind of statistic that might get people invested. Wow, no, I didn't know that. That seems like a lot of lasagna. Well, let me tell you more about lasagna, right? Okay, so anything you can use as a hook is a good way to go about. Anything you can use to get people's attention is a good way to go about generating a hook. Okay, so we'll just say that we went with the vivid description of the lasagna. Imagine you are at your mother's home as a child, and the smell of the cheese and the delicious tomato sauce. I'm getting hungry. Sorry. Okay, so that's how we do. We start with a hook. Your hook should be, generally speaking, 1 to 2 sentences, max 3. Okay. Sometimes you can't do it in 2. You can go to 3, but we want to keep it kind of short with the hook. The next thing comes the line section. What is the line section? That's all relevant contextual information that is needed to establish the thesis statement. So this will be between 3 and 5 lines of text generally. Okay, so what is the relevant contextual information for lasagna? Where's lasagna from? Who's the first person to cook lasagna? How long does it take to make lasagna? Is it an easy dish? Is this something that your family will love, or will they get tired of it after a few times? All of that is relevant contextual information. couple of sentences giving me the context of the lasagna making so that I understand what's at stake and what's on the table. That's the line section, okay? So all kinds of details about lasagna, how long it takes to make lasagna, whether your family will like lasagna, how many people can a lasagna dish feed? Is this something that is expensive to make? All of that is good context, general context, to get the reader prepared for the most important thing, which is the sinker. And to put it simply, the sinker is your thesis statement. If you do these three things in this order, you will generate a very strong intro paragraph. You begin with a hook to get the reader's attention. You move on to the line section, which is all relevant contextual information needed to establish a thesis. And then you finish off at the very last sentence of the intro, where it is supposed to be, with the thesis statement. So that takes care of hook, line, and sinker. Then what do? Well, then we add supporting details. In other words, we flesh out the body paragraphs. Okay. So supporting details, that's where we actually take the topic sentences. All right, so this is going to be, this is our first topic sentence. So we're going to come up here and copy that. And we're going to paste, we're going to, oh, that's the wrong one. Sorry. This is the first topic sentence. I highlighted the wrong thing. Okay, so we're going to come down here and put this, prepare and assemble lasagna. And that is the first sentence of your in your body paragraph, your first body paragraph. So what are supporting details? Well, okay, tell me, well, let's move sequentially. First, we got to talk about boiling the noodles. Okay, to boil the noodles, gently lay, or bring a large pot to a rolling boil and gently lay the noodles inside. Let them cook until they are al dente, I think that's how you spell that, or just a bit firm. And then strain them carefully before placing them to the side for assembly. Next, you must prepare the innards of the lasagna and structure it in layers. You may want to consider adding meat if you are carnivorous, such as Italian sausage or ground beef. In which case, you will need to pre-cook or brown the meat in a skillet prior to assembly. Okay, so these are supporting details about the innards. Finally, lay the innards in layers in the dish until you have filled it to the brim. Once the layers are assembled, you can add the final touch of Parmesan on top, and you are nearly ready to bake. So what I did right there at the end was I provided a transition, the transition to baking, which is our second topic sentence. So likewise, you would do the same thing. I'm not going to sit here and write the whole essay out, but likewise, you would do the same thing, add supporting details until you get something like what we have here, which may not be long enough. We may need some more details, but that's generally what we're looking for a paragraph. We have notice that we use the topic sentence and the subpoints therein to carry out the supporting details. So we started with how to assemble the layers, and I'm sorry, with boiling the noodles and assembling the layers and adding the cheese. And you notice that's how the paragraph progressed. And then we ended with a transition to the next paragraph. This is a really good way to go about constructing the paragraphs. Of course, we could use a bit more detail there. There's always a way to fill things in, flesh it out a little bit, give a lot of richness to the language that we use regarding lasagna. There's a lot of sensory detail there that we can take advantage of. But in any case, this, if someone were reading this, they might be able to produce lasagna. Now, one thing we didn't say is about how long it takes for everything. We could give times and stuff, the more precise you want to be. But you realize that we have the supporting details here. And so that's how we generate body paragraphs. We know hook, line, and sinker is how we generated intro. Then we do topic sentence plus supporting details, and you can also do the transition at the end to do the body paragraphs. You repeat this 3 times, 1 for each topic sentence. And then finally, you have 1 more paragraph in a 5-paragraph essay, and that is your conclusion. The only thing that I'm going to say about conclusions, most people, when I have an in-person, like a seated class, most people will say, I say, what is a conclusion paragraph? They say, that's where you repeat or you restate everything that's already been said. And you summarize it so that your reader really understands. You really hit it home. And I understand why other professors and teachers and instructors like to have you do that, because it does create a certain amount of repetition, and it sticks the argument in its totality in your reader's mind at the last step and leaves them thinking on everything that you've just said. But my question is, if I've already spent 3 pages outlining an argument to you, why do I need to see that entire argument repeated in a single paragraph at the end? To me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Repetition can be good. It can also be repetitive. I mean, well, obviously repetition is repetitive, but it can also be redundant. It can get old, right? So what do we do for the conclusion? I always call it the least important and most difficult part of the essay. And my house rule, okay, and my house rules are unspoken rules that I have. So my house rule is don't repeat the argument. I don't want you to do that. And that's why it's the least important and most difficult part. It's like you've already said everything you're going to say. What else is there to say? That's why it's the most difficult, because you have to come up with extra stuff to say that you haven't already said. And it's the least important because you've already said everything, right? So what can we do? The main thing is to achieve a tone of closure. Give your reader the sense that you have wrapped up loose ends and have closed out your essay with conciseness and efficiency. Okay, so the tone of closure. If you're ever watching a speech, like some guy's up on stage and he's talking, and he starts to go, and so with all of this in mind, we can take to heart that our own lives are greatly affected by things that we don't even understand. And when you hear that, when you hear him go, and so, and he starts to give all of these things which lead you to believe that he's closing up, that is the tone of closure. That's what you want to achieve in your essay. Give your readers the sense that you're wrapping up loose ends and that you're closing things up. Okay, that's part of it. The other part of it is it's a good place for open-ended speculation. For example, what will this do? What will the creation of the lasagna do to improve your dinner rapport with your family? Adding this excellent dish is going to give your family a exciting staple, traditional rustic Italian food. Really great. You can ask questions. How often will you really eat Italian food if you don't learn how to cook it in your own home, right? You can ask that question. All of these things are things that you can use to avoid repeating yourself. So if you achieve the tone of closure, wrap up loose ends, you can make predictions, you can give profound statements, you can ask provocative questions. The main thing you don't want to do is repeat yourself. Do this for about basic paragraph length, and that's your conclusion. I can give you a little more information on the conclusion. I think in the future when we practice these strategies, you're going to see exactly how to create a conclusion paragraph based on that process. So I won't give too much more information about that. We finish up, of course, works cited, proofreading, and that takes care of the essay, right? Once you do your works cited page, you make sure your citations are all correct so you don't get docked for plagiarism. Then you go through and you proofread your essay. Hey, you just did it. You wrote it. You did the 5 paragraphs and you wrapped it up with a nice conclusion. You stuck your works cited on there if you needed one, and you proofread it and handed it in. That's the way it goes. So hopefully this gives you a good bit of insight into the essay process and how to go about generating a formal academic essay and the different steps involved. And of course, as always, if you have any questions whatsoever about any of this, please reach out by email and let me know. So it's been great instructing you all from a distance, and I hope you have a wonderful day.